All right, so I want to look at just briefly here some of the citation issues we've been having with these answers. So this would apply to the responses too. It usually shows up a little bit more in the reading questions here. So this is what you want to do at the end of the day. Big picture, not just this course, any course. You want to have what people call ethos. You're trying to build credibility to show people that you understand the topic. So what you're doing a lot of times with quoted material is you're restating stuff that you just said in your own words. So you're quoting something from the book that says pretty much the same thing, or it gives further support, is how we would say this, to something that you already said. Right? That doesn't mean that you plagiarized it when you said it, because you're not saying it exactly the same. You're giving it in your words, your take on this. So now someone else, an authority figure, the people who wrote the book, or me for the screencast, you can quote me too, it backs it up. We could all be wrong. The people in the book could be wrong. I could be wrong about something. But what you are showing is that you are well read in the topic. Not really, because we're just talking about the book and citing me for right now. So you're not really all that well read, but you're going through the motions. So in your junior and senior level courses, you're gonna, and for your composition courses, especially your synthesis essay at the end of composition 1. And your research paper in composition 2, you're grabbing sources from a lot of different places, right? That's to build credibility. So a lot of times students talk about this is if you're coming up with some really good BS. Well, what students seem to mean by that is you don't really believe what you wrote. You know what? Nobody cares. Right? If you actually believe the stuff that you're putting down, but you say, well, I did it because I went through the motions, I could play the game. Well, you could support your position. This is, and by the way, that's not inconsequential. That doesn't mean it means nothing. There's huge stakes with that sort of thing. I mean, what do you think is happening right now in courts all across America or all across the world for people who have modern judicial systems anyway? All right, so this is good. And a lot of times, by the way, especially as you get older, you will come, it's kind of creepy. Well, I can support that. It must be right. If I can keep supporting this position, if I can keep finding evidence, but I didn't actually believe it, but now I have, in fact, changed my mind. All right, overtime or what have you. But anyway, right now we're not writing a research paper. We're just writing answers. We want to go through the first steps, as it were. So if we just look at this answer from, I think the last full chapter we did, the Etruscans. Okay, the Etruscans extended over Western Mediterranean and Italy, a few cities. Okay, so what's important for this person is rich artistic traditions. In the article, that should start with a capital, of course. In the article, it says, okay, so this is supposed to support the rich artistic position. So notice that it comes after the idea. You probably don't want to open with a quote and then go to something else. You don't want to let the quote speak for you. You want to have your words and then the quote support. So let's see if it does that. Life-size terracotta sculptures, gold treasures, all point to superb craftsmanship and material process. Well, sort of, right? It's in the ballpark. And while we are here, I'm not drilling anybody on the citations and all that, but if we were going to get down or do a correct in citation anyway, Cunning, it's just the author of the book, and there are, I think, 3 authors we have. For the actual book, we have Cunningham, Reich, and Fichtner, Rathis. They all wrote the book, but the way to do it in MLA format is, and all the others. All right, so just the 2 others in our case is what would be the correct citation for that. I'm not even hammering y'all too much on that. Just know that, and it's weird how the period sort of switches when you have a citation. It actually goes outside of everything when you include it. Then the student makes a common mistake that a lot of you all are making at times. This is from a different quote. This is not the student's words. Okay, so all of this needs, if the citation, or in this case, just the closing of the quotes, needs to happen at the sentence level, right? So this is weird because this is not actually something the student wrote. This is also from the book, and I don't know, hopefully this wasn't intentional plagiarism. It's maybe an extension of the same quote or something like that. In any case, now notice how that for this short answer, it's taken up a huge, no. You want it mostly in your words with just a few short quotes to support your ideas, right? So just go through the motion. So this is kind of starting to flip it, where in sum total here, that's at least half of the quote. That's not what you want, right? You want mostly in your words, few quotes to support, shorter ones too. And remember, if you were going to skip something, life-size let's say I wanted to skip all this section. Just follow the motion here. It's not going to make sense. ... I omitted something. That's fine. I can omit, huge sections of material, really, if I wanted to. All right. So the answer is, it's not the greatest answer in the world, but she's going through the motions here, or he is. I forget who this was. So what you would not do, all right, at the end of the day, say these quotes were not in here, or even if they were, at the end of it, you don't do this. Only applies to the sentence, not the paragraphs. So you wouldn't say Cunningham here or some other citation to show that you were getting all these quotes from the book, because people just end up kind of writing stuff that's in the book. All right, actual stuff from the chapter. Don't do that. It needs to be in your words. Do not use a citation or any kind of reference for an entire paragraph in any course. That's universal, right? So don't do that in your English courses, or history courses, whatever. It's always at the sentence level. And I think there's some, it's about the same thing for answer 2. Let's see if I have... I think that'll cover it for most people for the citation. So again, I'm just put it in quotes. All right. So there is some of you that had your English classes, or if you had it in high school, you know about paraphrasing, where you can restate it and put it in your words. Students tend to, it seems to be that for this course anyway, when students do that, they tend to just copy from the book. So I don't encourage paraphrasing. It's actually a higher skill. What paraphrasing is supposed to do is, usually if you're going to a very different audience. So if I was a doctor, especially a research doctor, and I needed to explain something about this COVID stuff that people are going nuts over now. Well, I'm not going to use all the fancy words that doctors would know. I would need to change some of the structure of what I say, because you're not going to understand some of the concepts. I wouldn't either, behind the medical research. So he's going to have to get it in language that we can understand if he is citing somewhere else. So usually you're crossing audiences with the paraphrase, or there is a reason that you want to put it in your own words. It's a good research skill. We probably don't need to use it as much as I think just 2 or 3 of you maybe are doing. Okay, and if there are any... Oh, I'm not including the works cited page. There is, just so we know and we're clear here, we would generate a works cited page for the screencast, or for the book, or my screencast. We don't need to do that for this course because everybody knows where they're coming from. And if this was, like, this is not from me, but if it was, if you were quoting something I said in a screen, it's probably just for your responses this would show up. Then it's just the citation technically would just be that. Okay? All right.